God message today. Title: The Reckoning of Arelis. The silence that once wrapped Arelis like a burial cloth now whispered freedom. In the city of Eldra, where the stone streets once echoed with the lies of others, a new sound was rising, a sound only truth could make when it no longer had to hide. She didn't seek revenge. She didn't speak her pain. She simply survived. But that survival became the spark that ignited the unraveling. High above her, unseen but always near, stood Archangel Kael. His voice had stirred in the winds long before justice began to pour into the cracks of shattered trust. It has begun, he whispered across time. The shift is no longer subtle. The one who betrayed you, who walked away with pride while you crumbled in silence, is now facing the reckoning. Aurelius had once trusted Junon, the person who had moved beside her like a friend but carried poison in his mouth. His betrayal was calculated, his lies heavy, but the divine watched it all. The Council of Light recorded every tear Aurelius shed in silence. Every night her spirit cried out in the dark. She had been buried in whispers and pushed from the rooms where her name once belonged. But now the wind carried different whispers. They were wrong, people said. We misjudged her. Junan's charm had been his shield, but now it cracked before everyone. Smiles once meant to control now flickered with unease. The alliances he built on deception were dissolving. Eyes that once celebrated him now watched with suspicion. Even the air around him changed, heavy, cold, alert. In Velrith, the coastal town where the betrayal first unfolded, people began to speak Aurelius's name with reverence. The same rooms she had been erased from were now echoing with truths too loud to ignore. Kale's voice followed her everywhere. You're not imagining this. Every broken piece is returning to you in strength. Junon, once surrounded by applause, now heard only silence. The trap he laid for Aurelius had closed around him. The lie he constructed now turned into a maze, and he couldn't find the exit. Every step forward was shadowed by invisible weight. He woke with panic, slept with fear. His dreams were haunted by the face of the woman he had tried to bury under the rubble of rumors. Aurelius, once the quiet one, had become the vision his conscience couldn't unsee. There was no thunder announcing the downfall, just steady, relentless shifts. Relationships he used as tools collapsed. Opportunities slipped away like sand through fingers. Money vanished. Calls were unanswered. Even close friends withdrew without a word. The mask had slipped, not in secret but in full view. Aurelius remained still. She didn't need to shout. Her peace was her loudest truth. Her silence exposed everything. The divine had not only protected her, they had positioned her. Aurelius no longer walked through Eldra in shame. She walked in quiet power. Doors that were slammed in her face now opened with reverence. Strangers greeted her with knowing eyes. Her energy shifted, and even those who didn't know the full story could sense it. She didn't seek Junen's ruin, but he watched hers. Now he was the one who flinched when her name was mentioned. He watched her rise, powerless to stop it, tormented by the grace she carried without trying. His downfall was loud, public, painful, and no apology would be strong enough to rewrite it. I told you, Kael said as he hovered near Aurelius's path, unseen by all but the spirit. The storm they built would be their own undoing. She had cried in rooms that now became her restoration ground. Her pain had been deep, but her spirit had gone deeper still. Her victory wasn't in vengeance, it was in peace. And that was what Chunen could never touch. In the city of Teraval, news spread. Arelis had been chosen to lead an interregional council on justice reform. an irony lost on no one. Junan's own associates whispered in corners, disassociating from him one by one. He sat up. You were never weak, Kale whispered again. You were gathering force. Every movement Junen made felt monitored, and every lie he tried to defend himself with only unraveled further truth. People questioned his motives, his stories, even his past. He was no longer a man with a network. He was a man entangled in his own web. But Arelis did not turn back to gloat. She had entered a chapter Yunen would never be invited into. Her radiance did not need revenge. It was earned through fire and silence. And still, she rose. Not with anger, but with grace so profound, even those who once doubted her stood in awe. She is walking in something divine, they murmured. She is untouchable now. Archangel Kale stood above Junen's fractured world as well. You will remember her, he spoke into Junen's dreams. Every night, in every silence, you will remember. In Alien Grove, a small girl whispered Arelis' name after overhearing her mother's conversation about justice. She sounds like a queen, the girl said, and she wasn't wrong. Junen, once unbothered by the damage he caused, now felt it in every bone. His body betrayed him. His spirit was hollow. He had fed on someone else's light and now couldn't find his own. His circle shrank. His laughter sounded wrong even to himself. The rooms he once ruled now made him sweat. Nothing fit, nothing responded, nothing welcomed him. He watched Arelis from afar, through the digital glow of screens and the buzz of whispers in hallways. She was thriving, he was unraveling, and no matter what spell he tried to cast, the mirror always spoke back. You caused this. What he meant for harm had elevated her. The divine had not forgotten the moment he twisted the knife, and now every lie was a ghost screaming his name. Arelis stood under the golden sky of Eldra one morning as the bells from the Chapel of Restoration rang. She didn't know the full extent of what Junen was facing. She didn't need to. Her chapter was no longer tied to him. You are the testimony, Kale said. That divine protection is real. That betrayal births destiny. The betrayer had no access to her garden. The flame he tried to extinguish now lit her path. And so she walked forward, lighter, brighter, and whole. Let the divine handle the rest. It already had. Title, the flame they ignited and couldn't contain. They called her broken, but Eden wasn't broken. She was paused, paused in the flame of betrayal, in the silence of things unsaid, in the betrayal of those she loved most. They called it her ending. They didn't know it was her activation. The wind shifted in the small town of Haven Reach. The night Eden stopped answering the voices that once tethered her. What they called silence, she named sacred. What they called ruin, she renamed reawakening. What they abandoned, God anointed. Kieran, the one who masked love with manipulation, never saw it coming. He thought he'd erased her. He thought walking away would be enough to silence her spirit. But she wasn't built to stay buried. She was planted. And now she blooms in places he can't reach. The divine kept receipts. Every word whispered, every scheme plotted, every moment of neglect. It was all recorded. The betrayal wasn't forgotten. It became the curriculum of her power. And now that power stands taller than the lies ever could. In Haven Reach, they whisper her name again, but this time with awe. They remember her light, but now it burns brighter, fierce, untouchable. Her energy enters rooms before her footsteps do, and the silence Kieran once celebrated now haunts him. Because silence doesn't mean forgotten, It means ascended. Archangel Michael speaks over Eden's life. No curse can follow where divine favor walks. No weapon can stand in the realm of rebirth. Kieran feels it. In every room, in every reflection, in every smile Eden posts from miles away. His hands shake when her name comes up, not out of guilt, but prophecy, because he knows what he lost. And they tried to break her, but all they did was break the dam, holding her greatness back. Now favor floods like wildfire. Every door they shut opens double wide with grace. Every seed they thought they buried becomes her garden of glory. And they are not invited. Eden never needed revenge. Her glow is justice. Her survival is their consequence. The divine did not ask her to fight, it asked her to rise. And rising she did, higher than the rumors, louder than the silence, brighter than the pain. In silence, she built a kingdom. She became the reflection they feared, the one they tried to dim, now shining through every crack they left behind. And Kieran, he can't escape her legacy. His own reflection bears the weight of what he tried to destroy. He thought he'd moved on, but his piece is paper thin. Every message he opens carries echoes of her laugh. Every name he hears, every melody, every city corner, they all remind him of the day he let a queen slip through his fingers. And there's no kingdom left for him now, because his betrayal invited ruin, and it answered loud. Meanwhile, Eden dances in alignment. She no longer walks for survival. She walks in sovereignty. She doesn't chase closure because her peace is her signature. They called her fragile, but she became the storm. She learned to thrive in the space their absence created. Her glow is a testament, and their regret is not her burden to carry, it's their shadow to face. Lena, her spiritual sister in the city of Corinvale, says it best. You don't need their apology, love. You became the apology. You are the correction they never expected. They scroll through her photos now, through the posts they once ignored. Every image shines like a reminder. Every caption is a scripture of strength. They don't double tap, but they watch because they know. She outgrew the cage, and now she flies above the reach of anyone who doubted her wings. Eden no longer looks back, not because it doesn't hurt, but because she knows her future is heavier than the memory. She's walking in divine protection now. People see her and whisper, that's the one who didn't break, the one who bloomed in fire. Kieran walks with a weight he can't explain to anyone. It sits in his chest like a storm, thundering every time someone mentions grace, faith, or redemption, because he saw it once, in her, and he chose the lie instead. That choice became his mirror, and he can't shatter it. Eden doesn't speak his name anymore, but the universe does. Every time favor lands on her, every time healing flows through her words, every time she lifts another soul with her truth, the wind whispers to him, this is what you lost. He dreams of her, not with romance, but with remorse. And even in sleep, there's no escape, because what he thought was disposable was divine. The silence Eden gave him was never empty, it was sacred. It was the ground where her wings grew. And now every time she rises, the echo follows him. You were never hers to break, Michael reminds him. You were light they couldn't contain. Now Eden walks with angels, and Kieran walks with shadows. No one had to curse him. His energy did it for him. The divine is not vengeful, it's balanced, and balance demands payment. Every moment of peace she now has is debt paid in full by the chaos he created. He wanted her to disappear. Instead, she ascended. She writes now messages to others like her, to the ones who were called too emotional, too trusting, too soft. She writes to the warriors in hiding. She tells them, "Your softness was your strength, your pain was your prophecy." And they rise too. Eden's life is now an anthem, a walking testimony that betrayal doesn't break, it births. That silence doesn't destroy, it sanctifies. That absence doesn't end, it elevates. She forgave him, not to absolve him, but to unchain herself. And now she walks in freedom. With every step she takes, the earth shifts. With every breath, the heavens